really honored to be the first host here of the Summit of the Committee on the Whole that represents all three branches of the federal government. It's not very often we have everyone here in one place, so that's just a great testament to the committee and the folks, the executive steering committee who set this up. So I want to thank all of them for doing that. You should also know that we are committed here at USDA to prepare for emergency events and safety. In fact, we just created a new office within my organization called the Office of Safety, Security, and Protection, because we realized that we needed to have a better focus, a more enhanced focus on security in the national capital area. I want to say that the renewed effort of the Joint Federal Committee and your presence here today, it's really an exciting next step in the shared commitment that we in USDA and we in the federal government have, and all three branches have towards safety and security. I think through this coordinated body, the emergency management professionals here, we know that you're going to continue to serve the people of our respective branches, but also people throughout the National Capital Region and throughout the country. So I want to thank you for being here and thank you for volunteering your time to be here. So thank you for your dedication to the safety and security of our fellow public servants. And I want you to know that you're going to have a very productive day here at USDA. It's a great place to be, and we're happy to have you here.
So the Joint Federal Committee of the Whole Summit is the culmination of over 2 years of work from the Joint Federal Committee's Executive Steering Committee. The Committee of the Whole can work together to be a catalyst of preparedness for the National Capital Region. Today, we take the next step of involving each of you in building a broad community of interest and action.
Thank you for being here. It's a testament to the hard work that you've all put forward that we're all here today. It's a testament to us as officials at all levels of government that we're willing to work together here. It's too important of an issue, preparedness and overall building resilience. And that's on us. So these real threats that we laid out, that I mentioned a couple, you'll talk about a few more today, those provide us the urgency. But it's you that provides the energy, the innovation, and the expertise to find practical, workable actions leading to a true culture of preparedness.
This is a great day for me because it reflects a lot of work to get us to this point. So in many respects, it's a culmination, but it's also a beginning. And I've heard that theme throughout the morning, that it is a beginning for us. So I want to just talk a little bit about the history, because I know some of you in the audience are familiar with the Joint Federal Committee from days before. And so I think it's important to understand where we've come from in order to get an idea of where we're going. That we want a prepared workforce and a prepared and resilient group of organizations, federal organizations in the National Capital Region. What else is different are the people. Because of that Executive Steering Committee, the quality of the senior leaders from other parts of government that we have involved in this effort, we've got a great opportunity to go forward. And the most important part, I think, is reflected in each of you out there. We now have a way to get you involved directly in what we want to do through the subcommittees that we've established. And it's only a beginning. I see it a great opportunity for the future. These subcommittees, we may add more. We may decide to change them, but that will largely be the result of your efforts, of what you think is important and how we go forward. In this Committee of the Whole, we now have a way to leverage your expertise, your knowledge, and your innovation as we all work together to be more resilient.
First and foremost, we're not here to do the jobs of the many organizations that already work together every day, continuity of government or council of government, many of the others that already coordinate. We're here to look at ways that we can reduce basically what we need from our host jurisdiction. I'll give you an example. If you think about all the federal agencies here in Washington, D.C., if something major happens, what are activities operationally that the federal agencies can take that will help us be less reliant upon our host jurisdictions? And I think that's kind of a common theme within everything the Joint Federal Committee is looking at, are ways that again, the federal government here could easily overwhelm if we all call 911 and expect everyone to show up and take care of all of our needs for all of our agency staff. So operationally, we want to share information. Again, you hear best practices throughout the other subcommittees. We want to look at that within operations and things, lessons learned and other things that we can share, again, to lessen our reliance upon our host jurisdictions here in the National Capital Region.
I chair the test training and exercise subcommittee. And at the macro level, we create, compile, and distribute exercise and training information so that we as federal partners are not only better prepared to respond, but reduce the reliance on our local responders if we face an emergency or a disaster here in the nation's capital.
All of these committees bring the same thing to the table, and that's an opportunity to network and get to know your colleagues in your neighboring and adjacent agencies, because you never know when you're going to need to interact with them. So one of the things the subcommittee will be working on is trying to identify what are the essential pieces of information, but how are we going to disseminate that information? How we're going to share it? What's the concept of operations for sharing information in the region? Because at the end of the day, the ability of all the agencies to have situational awareness is a huge game changer. One of the things we need to talk about in information planning is not just how we're going to share information using technology, but what is the backup? And we're going to need some input on that, because the NCR as a geographic area is not small. So it's not going to be instantaneous sending an email to someone in Loudoun County from downtown and saying, hey, you know, this is what's going on. We're going to need to work through a few things to make that happen. I think also with the evolution of the cyber threat to the federal government, one of the challenges is trying to define that space. What is it that we're responsible for? And if something happens at an agency, who's responsible for letting the other agencies know? And we may identify that's outside of the realm, and that's fine. But I think it's a very complex topic. It's a very new topic. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, but we do have to recognize that there is a direct impact on our ability to state how prepared we are for things by addressing this particular issue.
Our focus is to define, document, align NCR-specific federal, state, local, district activities that focus on public health, medical, and human services. We want to leverage existing processes that exist in the NCR to better inform and educate our federal workforce.
There's been some communication with between some of the communities to understand what is the protocol that the local first responders will set up as soon as they get on site. So you don't have a spokesperson or your own internal office of communication trying to go out with some information. They would know to move over to that command post, get in touch with that JIC. They're going to expect that there's a JIC that's going to be set up there. And so it's just realizing ahead of time that we would understand what's their footprint going to be as soon as they get here. And so it's just from that communication standpoint, because I think what used to be available was you might hear on radio or things, later on, as Captain Spokart said, we don't have the luxury anymore. Somebody's tweeting, texting, or some type of communication vehicle that we don't even know is coming out yet to get information out really fast. So understanding how each responding agency and how we want to respond as a federal agency, even if we're just protecting our own employees, how we get that public information out there and how we coordinate that can have such an amazing impact on other people just in the area, but also to our federal agency partners up and down the mall.
Do you have a long-term plan for the Joint Federal Committee? If so, what are those big projects plans that the JFC wants to tackle?
We have a lot of momentum going forward with some successes We're going to have some products that are be coming out, and then we're going to be reprioritize where we're going with it, with the encouragement of more participation and getting to where we need to go. But we're looking at drilling down. When we talked earlier about the micro level and things, how detailed and finite we can become, those are some of the things and as opportunities that we want to highlight in the future.
I mean, one of the things that we've taken a lot of time to talk about in the executive committee, whether we've used the term or not, is integration and alignment. We're not trying to convert everyone to our way of thinking. What we're trying to do is have everyone's way of thinking kind of work together, head in the same direction, and have the same goal in mind.
One of the things that all of our agencies, offices, and departments embrace is the idea of diversity and inclusion. And that's what really we're all about here. We want the diverse viewpoints. We want to be inclusive, to bring everyone to the table. And the way that we've chosen to do that is by organizing an executive steering committee that can provide overarching guidance to some subcommittees that are standing. We haven't even mentioned work groups, which we have in our charter established a provision where we can establish short-term work groups that are going to work on a problem that's defined and will last for a short time. And we bring together experts to do that. But what we've done is provide an opportunity for all of us to be involved and to contribute, as Dr. Kanuski said, your expertise, and most importantly, your energy. You know, you've demonstrated to me that you are energized about this by just showing up here today. And I know that there are others out there just like you who want to be a part of something bigger, who want to help make us better. And one thing that we haven't emphasized today is really, you know, we've talked about how we fit with our state and local counterparts. That's a big part of what we do. My office takes that responsibility of being a bridge, really, between the federal community and the state and local community in many ways. That's not to say that, you know, every agency and department doesn't have their own relationships where they are, because those are absolutely essential. That, as Eric laid out, you know who your first responders are that are going to come if you have a problem. You know who you've got to work with if you're in a security environment like the inauguration or a special event. But what we want to do here is provide an opportunity for you to bring your expertise, your energy, and your insights to bear on problems that are common to all of us as federal employees. It's important that we do that we are prepared so that in an all-hazard situation, we're ready and resilient.
We're not in the beginning stages by any means with these subcommittees' works. We have several people assigned to these committees. They're already engaged. They're already doing a lot of these priorities and meeting goals and objectives by the timelines ahead of schedule. But in fact, so we're very, very happy to announce that we're well down this road. So I encourage the questions. I encourage the continued participation and keep us on target and on task, because we're really energized and well down the roads.
To become a Joint Federal Committee of the Whole member, or join a subcommittee, contact the Joint Federal Committee at FEMA-JFC@FEMA.DHS.gov.